Hi, welcome to Behind the Scenes number 10. We're going to talk about the recent developments in your Ethereal Mechanics path forward and the reason why it looks like I dropped out of the universe for a while. What I've had a problem for up here in the mountains is that I have DSL. It's very slow. It takes me up to 5 hours to load a 20-minute video. And there's no cable or fiber service, but there is cell phone service. So I tried the Jetpack, and I tried it in conjunction with the first GoToMeeting, and it worked very good. But at that time, I used the Jetpack in a tethered mode. And then to get it to work for the rest of the house, I had to attach it using a wireless bridge. Let's go to that video now and show you the wireless bridge. Okay, we're up in the top shelf of the control room here. This is where I keep all the networking. I have two separate wired networks for the house. This network is the Cat7 network, which is a gigabit Ethernet. And this is the gigabit smart switch for that. This is the 10100 that I use for all of the instrumentation of the house, all the Arduino sensors or radar sensors. This also goes off to the this thing over here is a DVR for all the security cameras. So this is the internal network, which is never connected to the outside world. This one is. And what I've had to do since I purchased this thing called a Jetpack, see if this thing will, I don't know if you can read it. What it is, it's a little box. It basically connects to the cell phone towers, and it gives me internet access through the 4G network. But unfortunately, I used to be able to tether it to the computer, but then I can only use one computer on it. And so what it is, it's a Wi-Fi device. And so what I've had to do for the gigabit Ethernet is buy what's called a wireless bridge. This basically connects the wired part of my house through the wireless bridge to the Jetpack. And as you can see, the Jetpack shows that there's one connection, which I don't know if it's this or it's probably this. This is the only other thing that's using Wi-Fi. And so, you know, this can be in any part of the house. So what I choose to do is put this up high in the house so it's got a clear line of sight to the Ethernet tower, or the cell phone towers, which are, and this has improved my access, but it's also quirky. You know, some days it works fine. Other days you can only get certain websites. It's kind of a pain in the neck, but I still have better internet speed, because what I used to have here is what's called DSL, and I'm so far away from the main hub that the DSL, I only get about like 128 kilobits per second. It's really ridiculously slow. I mean, it took up to 5 hours to upload a 20-minute video from here, and so that's why I used to use my apartment, which had cable, and there I could upload a 20-minute movie in about, I don't know, a minute or two. So I'm trying to get rid of all the other things I'm paying for. So I got rid of all the apartment services, cable, TV, phone for the apartment, and I just go to the apartment to sleep. And I'll explain that. There's a change in my schedule that I'm doing now, and the reason why I don't need any internet services at the apartment is because I'm spending more time here, but this now requires me to have higher speed internet now that I'm here more often. And this is where I'm trying to go, but I'm still having trouble with it, so bear with me on that. I'm still trying to get the bugs worked out of it, and these problems I'm having, it seems like other people are having as well. And I'm sure there's a solution, or there will be a solution someday to this. Okay, that's it for here. And so I canceled and I purchased the wireless bridge, and then nothing worked for about 2 weeks. It started about the time Microsoft pushed a patch. Now I've been able to restore internet access, but it's not as reliable as it was when I first used the Jetpack. I'm going to see if Windows 10 works any better, but I'm no longer able to tether to the Windows 7 PC. Windows tether means is you can take the Jetpack and put a USB cable right to the Windows 7 computer and use it directly as a wireless link to the internet. So I'm still having problems. It's not perfect yet. Sometimes I go on and in the wireless mode, and I can see certain websites, but then I can't see others. Then later on, if I come on, well, I can see others, but not these. It's not. So that's what's been going on there. Trying to improve things. We've had a breakthrough on Vortrix algebra, was able to resolve the final ambiguities. And Vortrix algebra unifies scalars, vectors, matrices, and it supersedes all of these other forms of algebra. The incredible one here is it actually can replace quaternions. And I don't know if you know what quaternions is, but it's a weird thing that has a lot of flexibility when it comes to graphics and other things. And Vortrix algebra can replace all of these, and it gets rid of all the problems. One of the problems of all these is that Vortrix algebra identifies is that when you have a product of vectors, if I have a vector this way and I have a vector this way, and if I take the product of those vectors, I should have an area. And so the product of vectors should not be a vector. It should be something else. Vortrix algebra is the only one of these algebras that recognize that. Okay, quaternions, you take a product of quaternions, you get a quaternion. Vectors, you take a product of vectors, you get, in some cases, vectors, in some cases, scalars. Same with all of them. So Vortrix algebra is unitarily accurate in what it produces. And we'll get more into Vortrix algebra when we get to releasing more of it. Okay, I'm having problems turning pages because it's so cold. My fingers are dry. New course of action on Paradox 1B. We're going to make a magnetic 3D scanner to provide high-resolution magnetic images of magnets in order to determine edge current distributions. Okay, we're going to go to that video and show you that right now. On this table over here is beginning the build for what's going to replace the Paradox 1B. As you recall, the purpose of the Paradox 1B is to develop a model for the current distribution in a magnet. And what we proposed for the Paradox 1B, it was only going to ever work for disk magnets. And I want something that's going to work for any shape of magnet, especially since this is more to support the railgun, and the railgun is going to use rectangular magnets, not disk magnets. And so what we have here is we have these CNC machining tracks where this can slide up and down. This is a 300 millimeter, or is it 400 millimeter? Or, I don't remember. This is a 100 millimeter. 10 centimeter track. And what we're going to do is we're going to mount this like this onto here so that this setup can span a two-dimensional area. And what's going to be attached to here is going to be a long wooden arm, which is non-magnetic arm, could be aluminum, with one of the magnetic sensors out here. And then what's going to happen is this thing is going to scan a two-dimensional image of the magnetic field around a target magnet. And then we're going to use software written in C# to process that data to basically image the magnet that we're scanning. Okay, this is going to be about a 2-month build and maybe another month to get the software working right. So we're probably not going to see anything on this until the spring. I'm going to try, if I can, to give you updates on this as we go along so you can see how it's progressing. I'm not good at that. I got to get better at giving you guys updates of what's going on. It's just, you know, there's so much to do. Now, what's different than there's other people that have 3D magnetic scanners. There's one built with Legos, and I'll put the links on the low bar. But they don't, what we're going to do with our 3D images is we're going to develop software that's going to take the scanned image and project it back to the magnet, because we want to model the magnet to understand the current distributions, the edge current distributions. They don't do that with these. They just take an interesting 2D image and everyone goes, ooh, wow, that's easy enough to do. Here's another one, same thing. It just produces 2D images. They don't back project it to the magnet to understand the edge currents of the magnet. And that's exactly what I just discussed. Okay, we're starting on the release of the version 4 of the rules of acquisition. They've been improved, expanded, cross-linked with the new science paradigms. This will keep video production going while the magnet scanner is being developed. New electromagnetism version 5 is soon to be released. This version of new electromagnetism will be described in terms using Vortrix algebra. So right now I'm on vacation. Okay, my focus on my vacation is to eliminate the unnecessary stuff that's cluttering my life. I'll add the cut right here to that to lighten my footprint, to reduce the clutter. Okay, we're out here in the garage. As you can see, I've got a little kerosene heater, and my supervisor is sitting in a chair taking up the heat from the heater. The old expression, if you want the best seat in the house, move the cat. So what's going on is, let's look at the temperature over here. The heater is able to get the temperature up to 50 degrees, and the outside temperature is 12 degrees. And so normally I have this other heater here. This I only turn on in the beginning of the day or the beginning of the morning to warm the garage up, because this can get the garage up to a real toasty temperature real fast. Unfortunately, it puts a lot of fumes in the air. So this is just what I call the dragon, and the reason I call it the dragon is because my knight in shining armor down here is terrified by the dragon, so when it goes off, he runs quickly. So I don't use it too often for those two reasons. This little heater does a great job, but it's a little bit too cold. But normally I also have the electric heater on, but right now the circuit breaker is starting to sizzle, and so until I can get the circuit breaker replaced for it, I'm not going to use it. So it's up to this little heater to do what it can to keep the garage in a... So my problem is that when it gets cold, I break down. I can't, when I'm too cold and uncomfortable and my hands are cold, I really just want to sleep. And you can see these are the windows of the garage. They're completely frosted over from the humidity created by these little heaters. Anyway, that's a tour of the conditions. I'm trying to improve the conditions so I can do more work out here. And part of improving conditions is getting rid of old stuff. Okay, here is what I used to use before Arduino came along. I developed these little boards. I tried to make a standardized board with a PIC chip and some A to D converters, trying to make a standard footprint that, you know, I would have a standard software base for, so I could do the experiments that right now we're using Arduino for. But since Arduino has come along, it's really pointless to keep this around. So here's a ultraviolet erasing platform. Because back in the old days when I was doing this, you would put your chips on there with the little windows up and you would erase them. Now with the flash, you just burn right to flash. So there's no need to, see there's a little window on the chip. I don't know if you can see through the plastic, that little window here that allows the chip to be visible to the ultraviolet rays in order to erase it. And it's a pain in the ass because, you know, when you erase them, sometimes they get overexposed and the chip is ruined and you can't program them anymore, and so you have a little bit of loss each time. And the bad thing is you got to program them outside the circuit. There's a little programmer down here, okay, and then pop them in and then test them. And what a pain in the neck that is. Now with the Arduino, it just plugs into a USB port. It programs on the fly. They did a really good job with the Arduino. And so there's no need for me to have this junk clogging up my space. Because one problem with this house has a great living space, but there's really no storage space. And I don't want to use up the living space putting in benches and stuff. And so what I'm trying to do is clean out what little storage spaces I have by getting rid of as much junk as I can. And so I can turn one of the inside spaces into a little development space, so I'm not having to work all out in the cold all the time. Now in the summertime, this is great. This is an awesome place to work because it's cool. And when you have the evening sun coming in, it is a wonderful place to work in the summertime. The following is a video schedule for the remainder of this next week of vacation. This is my hard video schedule. These are things I'm going to work very, very, very hard to get out on time, like this video. All these will be made before 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Hopefully I'll get to this one by tonight. It gets like 6 o'clock now, and I'm just getting to the point where now I got to start stitching these together and upload it. And we'll see how the Jetpack is able to get the data up, since we're now at 600 kilobits per second. Okay, and then January 1st will be Rule of Acquisition V4 intro. Then we're going to do the Paradox 1C experiment. Now, interesting thing with the Paradox 1C, in the workup of the 1C experiment, I came up with the thought experiment that is killer. I don't really need to build and run the actual experiment, because the thought experiment is totally killer. And January 5th will be the rule of acquisition V4, the correct answer fallacy. And we'll release new electromagnetism version 5 to Patreon only, the video overview to passengers and above, and the PDF to first class and above. And again, all these releases will be done before 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, there's a soft video schedule. What this means, these are videos I'm going to try to get done in this next week and try to get them up, but no guarantees if I'm going to get them done. And we're going to have Distinti's World number 17, Something Wicked This Way Comes. I don't know if that's going to be the final title, but there's just so many things. Like, people say Bitcoin is going to kill the banks, but the banks don't seem to be worried about it. The national debts are climbing out of control, and nobody seems worried about it. It's like there's just so many things that just are contradictory and don't make sense. And I think I found an explanation of what's really going on. And I'm going to throw that out there. And then as a fun thing, Barship Enterprise. It's a fun thing I'm doing. Sometimes I need a break from doing heavy duty stuff. I just need to work on something fun. And I might as well work on something fun that'll be for Ethereal Mechanics. And so we're turning the bar down in the basement. We're going to try to do some green screen stuff and fly the bar to visit black holes and stuff, yada, yada, yada. So if I get time to work on that, I will. But these are items that are low priority, and I got to get to them if I just need a distraction. Okay, this Physics 1.0 release won't be during this vacation week. This will probably be before the end of January. And what I'm going to do is make a release that does not yet have the edge current distribution, so that we have a release before that. And thank you very much, sir. You're very helpful. Yes, my supervisor. Come on, bud. Come on. So, and what they'll be produced is instructional videos will be produced. There'll be an overview video for physics software, which will be made public as kind of a tease. And then the detailed videos will be for passenger above. And then a Visual Studio project will be available to engineer and above. I'm thinking of making a lower grade release. It's not the source code. It's kind of not sure. I'm trying to get something else I can release that's not source code. We're going to see if I can do that. I don't want to spend too much time on it because the objective is to go forward. Again, this will be clear sometime before the end of January. The end. Thanks for my patrons. Thanks for your patience. Sometimes stuff just goes wrong. Progress is being made not as fast as I would like. But then again, any long journey, it's always going to be one step in front of the other. And the more difficult the journey, I have found, the more sweeter is the reward. So thank you very much. And Philip says thank you. You say thank you? Hey, you're a good boy. So thank you very much.